What's up guys, welcome to ThunderStash Gaming, and today we're going to be taking a look at a few items that I helped kickstart on Genki, and that is the SN30 Pocket Pro Edition. And this does work with Switch 2, I checked. There's already a firmware update for it, and if you've never used these controllers before, they're great controllers. However, this one is different, and I'll talk about why once we unpackage this and I test it out for you. And then this one I've been really excited about, okay? This is the Genki Moonbase 7-in-1 Supercharger. This one's really exciting because, look, I know it may seem funny to get excited about something that looks like maybe a surge protector, but it's a lot deeper than that. And if you're anything like me, you got stuff plugged in everywhere, you got wires everywhere, and it's not a good sight to look at, right? This should help with it. And not only that, but when it comes to travel, this is going to be key. So you're probably wondering what the 7-in-1 part of the supercharger is. So let me explain that a little bit. First off, this is 240 watt GaN power. It has spacious AC charging nodes, which you can see here. It has lunar light effects, which again, that's where the name comes from, the Moonbase. It has 4 USB ports that offer 140 watts max, and these are USB-C ports. So not only can you plug in everything you need, you can also plug in 4 different USB-C items that are offering up 240 watts max, with one of the ports being a max of 140 watts. So to break it down, there's one port that's 140, there's another port right next to it that's 100 watt, and then there's 2 that are 30 watts. And you can use the ports in any combination you want as long as it doesn't exceed 240 watts. So if you need to charge something like your laptop, you can do that. It has space-efficient design and active electrical protection. You guys, even taking a look at the back of the box here, you can see what I was talking about. This is going to be your 140 watt USB-C. Then you have your 100 watt USB-C. And then both of these are 30. So you can plug these in any combination that you want as long as it doesn't exceed 240. For example, the power banks that I just reviewed, you can fast charge those with this device using a 100 watt cable or even a 140 watt cable. So it all depends on how you want to do things. And then right here is the MoonLink Plus. And if you guys see, this actually has a digital LCD readout on the actual USB-C cable. But some of the stats on here are pretty important. For example, this cable can do 240 watts. The data transfer speed is 40 gigabytes, and this is USB 4.0. So this cable actually came with the Kickstarter for the Moonbase. This was part of the deal, and I actually have a few other cables here that are from Genki, and these are all 140 watt cables. So I have all of the cables that are going to work with the supercharger. And again, guys, I don't know about you, but when I travel, one thing I've learned over the years is to bring a surge protector with me, right? And Michaela's recording this right now. She's behind the camera, but she knows firsthand. There's been times that we went to an Airbnb, and one time we went, it was for the Phoenix Suns when they were in the finals. And the home we were staying in downtown was, I think, part of the older district. And long story short, they only had a few electrical outlets in the whole place. It was pretty interesting, but thankfully, had a surge protector, came in super clutch, and we're able to plug everything in still. We're still able to charge all of our phones, plug in the Switch, plug in the PS5, so we were good. But I make a point to always bring with me a surge protector. If I'm flying, going somewhere out of town, I bring one. When I go to PAX West in a couple of months with Michaela and the whole podcast crew, I'll be bringing this with me to wherever we stay. And even there's been few occasions over the years where the internet will go down and we'll get a notification that it might take hours. And if we're in the middle of working, like, that's unacceptable. We got to go somewhere, right? So we'll go to our local coffee spot, and I don't want wires everywhere. They don't want wires everywhere, but with something like this, it's super efficient, right? You just plug it into one outlet and that's it. Everything else you can plug into here. So again, very excited for this. And of course, I'm gonna unbox this and show you guys what it looks like when it's all lit up, okay? So without further ado, let's dive in. All right, guys, now that we have it all unboxed, we're gonna plug this in and check out the light show, okay? Oh, there it is. That's pretty cool. You guys can see here, it's got like this nice amber glow. Kind of goes in and out, almost like a flickering light, but yeah, like an ambient light. And you can see that there's some yellow in there too. This is really cool. Now I wanna see actually what this looks like. The lights up. All right, guys, I know you can probably barely see me, but it's necessary so you can see this light show. So check this out. There's a button right here, okay? And you can press this and it changes the colors. And again, it's all of these awesome ambient colors. So you got really nice red there, you have a cool green, almost like an Xbox green, maybe a Donkey Kong jungle green, Nintendo 64 edition green. You got a nice kind of lighter yellow there, very cool blue, PlayStation blue maybe. And what would we call this? Is this fuchsia, maybe? Magenta? I would call it a shade of purple. Maybe a shade of pink? I don't know. Kind of looks pink, actually. Either way, very cool. And then there's the color that it was when we first turned it on, the amber color. And this is almost like a space gray, would you say? And then this one is all the colors. Very cool. Now, I couldn't tell when I did the Kickstarter it was gonna have all these colors. I just saw the one color, and honestly, I was sold based on the specs, right? Not so much on the light show. That was a bonus. I didn't know it was gonna have all these lights. It's pretty cool. Almost serves as a night light for you too. So there you go, guys. There's the demo. I hope you liked the demonstration here. All right, guys. Now, as I mentioned earlier, all of these items that you're seeing here today, the Moonbase and now the Genki 8-Bit-Do SN30 Pocket Pro Edition, all of these items I helped kickstart, and I'm no stranger to kickstarting items for Genki. I've been doing this for quite a few years. And one thing I'd like to note is that I'm a big fan of 8-Bit-Do as a brand itself. And I just have my 8-Bit-Do Super Nintendo controller here as a reference point to show you guys that this is the Super Nintendo controller that I have. And as you can see, these controllers are meant to mirror the look and feel of the Super Nintendo controller, but of course, they add all the modern technology. I do appreciate the colored buttons. We're gonna open this up and I'm gonna talk about just a few features here, and I'll also test out the controller right after this so you guys can see what that looks like. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. If there's one thing 80s and 90s kids love, it's transparent technology. We all miss the fantastic Nintendo 64, the clear Motorola pagers. I used to have a ice blue Motorola pager. So I appreciate the fact that we're getting clear technology like this for adults. So very cool. Now here's the big kicker, guys. As someone who has owned these controllers for a long time, one thing that is very annoying is every time I use this controller, I have to look up how to sync it again, because I don't remember, because I actually do own a handful of 8-Bit-Do controllers and they don't all turn on the same way. This controller thankfully fixes that. Now if you guys take a close look here at the differences, you can see on the Game Boy controller, it has the select and start buttons also here. But what's important is it says what all the buttons are. Specifically, if you look right here at the top of the controller, you can see that there's a button. And then here on the 8-Bit-Do Genki, you guys can see here it says Apple, Android. That's the button combination that you need to press in order to sync it with an Apple or Android device. Then there's Switch, same thing, different button combination to sync it. And then there's PC Steam. So again, this controller works for Switch 1, Switch 2, PC, Steam, Apple, Android. It's the Pocket Pro controller. So anything you can play portably, this controller is going to work for. Now, a couple of really cool features. Not only does this have rumble support, which should be expected, but it has gyro controls. And the big kicker here, the one that everyone should be excited about, is you can see right here, what does it say? Hall effect. We got Hall effect sticks on this controller, which again, that's what everybody was hoping Nintendo was going to put into the Switch 2 Joy-Cons, and even to that extent into the Switch 2 Pro controller. So this controller comes with Hall effect sticks on top of it. So again, this controller is great to use on the NES, NSO, the Super Nintendo, obviously NSO. That's the best one because it feels like a Super Nintendo controller. All right guys, so one thing I will also note is that outside of the box, box, this is not going to work with Switch 2. You do have to download a firmware update. 8BitDo has a universal firmware updater. It's a tool where you can literally plug your controller in, it will recognize which controller it is, and then it will automatically update the latest firmware. And of course, with Switch 2 just coming out, all of the third parties are now releasing firmware updates for their controllers to make sure that they work with Switch 2. This is no different. So I've went ahead and I've already installed the firmware update. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and test this controller out, see how it feels, and make sure everything works. All right, guys, I went ahead and installed the latest firmware using 8BitDo's universal adapter, and just like that, the PocketPro was ready to go on Switch 2. To really put it to the test, I handpicked a few games that could really showcase each feature of the controller. First up, I played Metroid Prime Remastered using the gyro control scheme to test out the motion aiming, and it felt super smooth. The tracking was responsive, and I didn't notice any delay or drift while locking onto targets. Gyro controls are a must-have in 2025, and the PocketPro definitely delivers here. Next, I fired up the Super Nintendo NSO app and loaded up Super Punch-Out, one of my favorite games. And since this controller mirrors the SNES layout, I wanted to feel how responsive the D-pad was under quick, repeated inputs, and I'm happy to report it's excellent. From there, I moved into the NES NSO app, played a bit of Double Dragon and Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, two games I know like the back of my hand. Because I played these titles so much over the years, it was easy to tell if there was any added input lag with this controller or with the Switch 2's firmware, and there wasn't. Inputs were very tight, precise, they felt just like they should. Then I loaded up Mario Kart World to test out the power sliding. Now, I used to race with an SN30 controller on Switch 1 all the time with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I'm happy to say that the PocketPro felt just as sharp here. My muscle memory kicked in instantly, and drifting around corners felt great, especially with those Hall effect sticks. After testing across genres, retro, motion, racing, and Twitch response titles, I'm happy to say that this controller handled it with zero input lag. The build is excellent, the buttons felt great. The real star here is the D-pad. 8BitDo built its reputation on D-pad quality. That's actually what first drew me to them a decade ago in 2015 with their NES 30th anniversary controllers. Back then, I was amazed at how one-to-one their D-pad felt compared to the OEM Nintendo D-pads, and even today, 10 years later, nothing's changed. What really changes the game for this controller is that it has the Hall effect sticks now, which is a really big deal. The gyro aiming's cool. I don't use it a ton, okay? Be honest with you. I wanted to test it out for you guys. What really drew me to this was the Hall effect sticks, because I already know the D-pad's great, so I'm really just reporting on the fact that, hey, it still feels just as great, but now we have Hall effect sticks. So for me, this controller is an easy recommendation. All right, guys, after spending some real hands-on time with both the Genki Moonbase and the PocketPro controller, I've got to say these are two standout accessories for not only the Switch 2, but really for anything. The PocketPro works with all of the portable consoles, and of course the Moonbase has so many uses, and I think it's already earned a permanent spot in my travel bag. It's compact, powerful, and ridiculously efficient whether I'm at home, heading to a con, or working from a cafe. And the PocketPro, this might be my new go-to controller for retro gaming on the go. Hall effect sticks, motion controls, multi-device support, and that awesome clear shell. Love this. It's everything I wanted out of a Genki 8BitDo collaboration. If you're building your ideal Switch 2 setup, both of these products are absolutely worth checking out. And again, there's so many uses for both of these, right? Whether you're trying to clean up your cables, cut down your travel gear, or just avoid stick drift for good, Genki has you covered here. And if you enjoyed the DuckTales Moon Theme in the background, I mean, how could I not? between the crater background on the thumbnail, the Moonbase, and my DuckTales NES shirt, this one practically themed itself. Make sure to check out some of my other Switch 2 accessory reviews and game reviews right here on the channel. There's a lot more on the way for you guys. And if you're into all things Nintendo, don't miss the Nintendo Byte podcast, which I co-host every Wednesday night with the team. We talk about Switch 2 news, rumors, games, you name it, upcoming Nintendo Directs, speculation, all that good stuff. Thanks so much for watching, and if you've got any questions about either product, or if you're using them already, feel free to drop a comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. And as always, remember, you're never too old to play video games.